Okay, I'm going to call this meeting to order at 18:31. Four school select board members present, one on the phone. Hello, Sheila. Recognition of public would be Steve Lemke, Dan Zambruski, Joe Borgati, Mark Arsnett from Du Bois and King, the resident engineer for the Green River Covered Bridge project, and our very own Ian Keogh. Rules and procedures are on the table. If anyone would like to see it, read it. New additions to the agenda? I see none. Changes to the agenda order. I am going to, at this time, we will move the Green River Covered Bridge discussion up to underneath the approval of minutes for the September 12th meeting. And welcome Ann Ryder. I have a motion for the approval of minutes from September the 12th, 2016.
So moved.
I have a motion
Second.
and a second by Dick. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. As I said, Green River Covered Bridge discussion moved up to now. Mark, if you'd like to step up, or you can sit right there, whatever you want to do.
Where do you want me to be?
Up to you, wherever you're
Up to
comfortable.
you, wherever you're comfortable.
Okay, if this is all right.
Sure.
The roof is done,
Materials are all
in place. Yep.
Great.
Vermont Protective Coatings was there also today, did quite a bit of work. They still have a little bit left, they've got some painting to do. And the guy from Lafayette Guardrail was there today, and they will be starting Wednesday. They could not start tomorrow. They anticipate probably at least 5 or 6 days to put that guardrail system in. They're gonna start on the west side and hopefully finish that by the end of the week, and then move to the east side and get that done next week. Wright will be tomorrow starting to remove the staging out from under the bridge and starting to demobilize.
How long do you think it'll take to take the staging down?
Couple days. They want to get it down before Lafayette moves to the east side, because they'll be right in the way. There's, this guardrail is a pretty big deal. It's a lot of 10 by 12 posts, big railings, steel plates. It's quite complicated to put together. So he said, the Lafayette guy said he thought 4 days, but I really think it's going to take longer than that.
We've communicated with Joe about them needing a closure of the bridge
Yep.
while they're putting the guardrail in. And I asked, I think you were copied on the email that I
Yep.
sent, yeah. I'm
Yes.
sorry, I was kind of out today, so. And I haven't heard back from him yet about the bridge remaining open from 3:30 in the afternoon, whenever they close down, through till the following morning at 8 a.m.
Their concern is the guardrails not being in place for that,
Okay,
and the liability that may be incurred
sure.
if the town is willing to take them off the hook. Provided we can get Lafayette, they're gonna have a lot of stuff, and there's not a lot of room down there.
Mhm.
We're gonna try to get them, when they bring in the material for the east side, to maybe put it off to the side.
Yep.
And hopefully that'll be there before the weekend.
Because if Wright's demobilizing, that opens up their staging area, correct?
Well, that side road would still be closed.
Yeah, and that's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mhm.
So, yeah, they'll be pulling their stuff out, getting it piled up,
Yeah.
and then getting it loaded up and getting it off the job.
Okay.
So, I anticipate that the bridge would be ready for traffic a week from Friday.
Completely open.
Yep. There still will be punch list items to do, but I think we can probably do that. There isn't much traffic during the day out there.
Yeah.
And if there is a closure, maybe sometime during the day when traffic is lightest, and just get it done. But we're close. We're very close.
So can I ask them, I know we extended the schedule because we found some rotting. What was originally we had given a time frame for the closure of the bridge, and then stuff was going to be done after with the bridge open, right? I mean, that was our original plan.
I can help clarify that.
Okay,
So originally, the original contract said that the bridge would reopen on August 26th.
Yep.
The project completion date was September 30th. There was full siding replacement, there was full roofing replacement, there was cord rot. All of those things brought on what was thought to be a 3-week
there was,
bridge closure extension.
there was two.
But
yeah,
there were
extensions.
two contract extensions
Yep.
for project completion, bringing us to November 4th.
November
But the
4th.
bridge reopening, which is the main issue for everybody, was never beyond September 30th. Never. So this week is all news. We were never told that the bridge closure would go
I
beyond
don't-
the 30th.
I don't
have
know
no
where
communication.
the 30th came from.
It was actually 3 weeks, and I used the 30th to give a 2-week cushion. Do you remember that conversation?
I know we had conversations about dates and all that,
Yeah.
but didn't realize it was gonna be just, put right out there that, hey,
Yeah.
we're gonna open September 30th.
Yeah.
When, we're dealing with subcontractors
Sure.
and the weather and, we're close.
Right.
We're close. But I don't think it would be safe to open it September 30th without the guardrails.
Is there a way to open it September 30th at the close of business and allow traffic to get through while continuing to do work?
Yes, there is.
Okay, what would that
Close it
look
up
like?
Monday morning. We'd have to close it Monday morning.
Right, like at 8 a.m. or something?
No, 7.
But your concern is
Or-
still no guardrails, correct?
Yes,
That's
if
the main-
Lafayette finishes on the west side, we still have no guardrails on the east side.
We've essentially had no guardrails there anyway.
Okay.
Those guardrails were not compliant in any way.
But now the rocks have even been moved.
Yeah,
There weren't rocks there before.
Is there a way for them to start on the east side? Because the west
Oh,
side
they're
has the
getting this
Jersey
side
barriers,
comes up.
don't they?
There were
No, those are gone.
nothing there.
Those are
those are gone.
gone.
Yep. And Dan will be there doing some regrading on that side for his anticipated work there, because we need that done before, so that the guardrails can conform to the new
Yep,
grade.
the right height.
And that needs to be done first.
Liability issue, I think probably you should stick with getting things done before you open it up.
I,
So residents will have no access for another
A
week.
week.
Is that what you're
would
saying?
you,
It is what it is. Liability,
Even though we've never really had any compliant guardrails there anyway?
liability has always come up as a big issue, and I think liability right now is a big issue.
would the town be willing to accept that liability?
I'm not.
It's up to the board. I don't have any decision-making authority.
Yeah.
Yeah.
'Cause that,
Well, I think the liability is a huge issue, but Dan, do you have an opinion on this whole guardrail situation and the
I mean, it was
history?
always, before the rocks were there, all it was 2x8s.
We
It
didn't,
was never,
it wouldn't slow.
we never
cars
had
down.
any rocks on the east side. Those were only on the west.
There was a couple of them.
Yes,
But by
yeah,
Jo-
But
by
not-
Joni's?
There was room
yes,
on the other side.
Yeah.
But there was room to get in
Yeah.
between, yeah. And there was just those wood guardrails that really probably wouldn't slow a car down.
They wouldn't probably slow a motorcycle down.
No.
And there's nothing we could put modularly there.
Set a couple
Like a
Yeah.
Jersey barrier?
Well, I mean, even a Jersey barrier,
Outside
did they
the-
disappear?
We have
We're in
them.
the midst of trying to get this done with Lafayette and all their equipment and
That's why
bringing
we
in
had to
all the
remove them.
guardrail pieces. I don't think that's workable.
Okay.
But, if liability, would you give that to Wright? That, the town accepts their, and then I could work on that tomorrow and see if they'll let it open for the weekend. We've had that discussion, but they're just worried about that problem. And,
I mean, here's my concern, is that we're on track, then all of a sudden, oops, a contractor, the roofer didn't call us back for 2 weeks. And then today, oops, the guardrail people said, oh, we can't make it either. I mean, what if it's not a week extra?
Unfortunately, they're at the mercy of the
I know.
subcontractors because they're coming to work to get these jobs done.
I understand, but we're at the mercy of no access.
I,
I mean, we're between a rock and a hard place, and I mean,
Literally.
You gotta be used to it. You gotta be used to it, but now you did all last summer, you got it in this summer, you know.
and that doesn't make it okay.
No, it doesn't.
It doesn't.
I know.
And my concern is that we had an RFP that had, here's the dates you can close the bridge. And then when trouble arose, we said, okay, now here's the dates you can close the bridge. It was always known to the contractors that it was a paramount concern.
Yes,
I mean-
but it wasn't a drop dead date, if I can use that term, for September 30th.
I'm pretty
We
sure it
wouldn't-
is,
we
Mark.
couldn't- we
I'll
couldn't
pull all
do
my
that.
email. I have it all in there where I'm pretty vigilant with everybody about, so what's the date? What's the date? And we had the conversation.
With,
It was on site that we had it and through email.
I'm not denying that,
Yeah.
what I'm saying is we thought if September 30th was mentioned as a date, I think it was premature to put it up to the public.
What do you feel the drop dead date is now, Mark?
I think we'll have it open by a week from Friday.
So that's the drop dead date, a week from Friday, in your opinion.
I'm not a fortune teller. I
No,
don't
no,
know
I
what the
understand.
weather's gonna be like,
So
or,
it's October.
But what's the liability from the contractor to you or the town? You know, I mean, they couldn't be here,
Here's a completion date
so.
of November 4th. That's all it says. I mean, we've talked about September 30th, and everybody's working hard to try and do that. I was over there Saturday till after 4 o'clock, because I was afraid that
The roof
things
was
wouldn't
done.
get done if I
Right,
was.
right. No,
Right,
and
and-
you've been great. I'm not
Yeah.
questioning
And the
that
town,
at all.
the town of Guilford has been great to work, Katie's been great to work with throughout
Yes.
this. And I feel really bad that, we're at this point now where I just can't see that opening on September 30th.
hold on just a second, Steve, then Ann.
Can Lafayette get the work done on the west side by Friday of this week?
That's what I'm hoping. If they
yeah.
start Wednesday,
And right now, I think if we all drove down there real fast, right now, there's no guardrail on the west side,
no.
right now, right?
Right.
So there's some liability as we all sit here. I don't know whether that's Wrights or Lafayette or towns, but what you're talking about avoiding is there right now on the west side.
And has been.
With-
And I have no reason to say this other than from a west side resident to say that if they could get pushed to get, just like the roofers worked all weekend to get it done, if those Lafayette guys could get guardrails up on the west side. The east side, I agree with what Katie was saying and other people said. There were I mowed it and everything else. There were 2 rocks there. You'd have to work hard to hit them, if you worked at it. So the trouble with the west side is that you got people coming up Green River Road, and if they don't stop, they keep right on going, right? But on the east side, unless somebody disagrees with me, you're coming straight down toward the bridge, and
That's
you're
the
not
west
seeing.
side.
There's nothing. What?
That's the west side.
No.
No,
On the opposite
State
side,
State
I'm
road,
coming down
east
over
side.
Green River Hill. You're coming right straight down because you either turn right and go, but you can't come the other way because it's closed off. So it's just a straight shot down the hill, right across the bridge. I would say the east side is totally doable, with the issue, because I don't think it's any different than it's ever been. I think the west side should be done before it gets opened up.
And it is.
But if they could do that, that would be a real plus to the west side residents.
Yeah, that's the side they're gonna start on.
Yeah, I mean,
That's,
that,
right, that's the side we have
Right.
scheduled for them.
Ann?
Kind of echoing what Steve was saying, to me, the west side was always the issue in terms of liability. I was curious to know what the town's liability was 5 years ago when we had those 2x8s blocking things. I mean, we've always had this same issue. And I liked Steve's idea very much of encouraging Lafayette to work through the weekend.
I can't get that.
You
I
can't get that done.
guarantee that, no.
If they work through Monday, I mean, if they work straight through, starting tomorrow, how long would it take them?
I would say they'd be done by the following Wednesday. They'll work 3 days this week, and I'll say probably 3 days next week.
but they'll have the west side done by Friday of this week.
Well, that's what I was talking about, just the west side.
No, the west side will be done by the end of, close of business Friday.
September
It
30th.
should be done in 3 days.
Right.
Well, that's what I was asking about, just the west side.
Wednesday, Thursday, Friday of this week, and then it could be opened up with, and then they could start work on Monday on the east side, right?
Yes,
Right.
yes.
With the bridge open.
I will try and make that happen.
With the bridge open during non-work hours. Does that make sense? So
Um,
from 3:30 in the afternoon until the following morning, the bridge could remain open to traffic if the town took the liability, correct?
All right, let's, the bridge, say, we get Lafayette to put their stuff off to the side on the east side,
Yep,
and
and
we
the
have the
staging
bridge
area.
open over the weekend.
Yep.
Monday morning, when they start, they will occupy that space for the 3 days it takes. Their material will be in the roadway, so I can't say that we would have the bridge open during the day.
That's a lot of guardrail to be
Which
just
is
to work in that big,
Yeah.
Which
you
is
know,
the
such
key
a
part.
small area. This is some
This is big
different
stuff.
guardrail, so, I mean,
Well, I remember discussion about the guardrail.
It may go faster than what you think too, who knows?
We don't know.
we don't know.
We don't, I know,
Tell me what you
Rocky
want to
Hill.
do and I'll do
I don't
it.
know,
It's rocky.
So I guess
Guardrail that
it's-
is in.
It's essentially up to us four sitting here and Sheila.
I mean, can I just ask one
Sure.
more thing?
Yep.
What's our drop deadline? I mean, I know when we had the original contract, we had the bridge had to be open by the state. You can do extra things afterwards as long as the bridge was open. But I feel like now we're sort of getting, we have no deadline. It's November 4th now. And that's my concern, is that we keep saying we can't control the subs, but there has to be some responsibility to,
As you've seen down there.
yeah.
Um,
I mean, but I mean, I'm not telling, I don't know how you write your contracts with, or how one writes the contracts with the subs. So I mean, I don't have control over that. So my concern is we need at least a hard and fast deadline.
I can't give that to you with the weather and subcontract.
I mean, that's my
I can't.
concern.
I'm saying that I'm reasonably sure that a week from Friday, that we'd be open for traffic. But I don't, Lafayette has said they'll be there Wednesday to start, and I'm pretty sure they'll be there. But am I 100% sure they're there to give you, say, absolutely, it'll be done by that date? I can't do that.
So what assurance do we have that it's going to be done, I mean, before November 4th? That's sort of where, I mean, I want some assurance.
I'm not gonna say this with much amusement, because there are fish down in that river that I would like to catch. And I'm not gonna drive all the way around to catch them, so I'm hoping that the bridge is open before the end of fishing season, which isn't that far away. So,
I mean, so we
I
have,
don't see a problem with it being open in a week from Friday.
and we
then
can't
the
open it at all
minor-
before?
The minor work that we have to do. I
Can we
can't-
open it for the
I-
weekend,
I
or?
I know how
Well, the
Lafayette
weekend it
works.
can be open, correct?
Pardon?
The weekend, you just said the weekend it can be open.
Well, I'm gonna
If
work
the
on that
town-
tomorrow.
Right.
I'm gonna work on that with Wright to
Okay.
make sure that when Lafayette comes in, they get steered off to the side and don't dump all this stuff in the middle of the road down there,
Right.
in anticipating, working on Monday. So I'm not gonna stand there and have them throw guardrail pieces on top of me. I'm gonna try and get them off to the side.
If that west side can be done, I guess I would agree with that. It
Should
should
be.
be open. Today's world, I hate to even think about accepting liability if that west side isn't done before it's over, even though what has been in the past, I don't, but. so,
That, if they show up on Wednesday, that should be done by Friday.
You're right, on the east side, there's not much there, there never was much, just a couple of rocks and pieces. What?
Also, the rocks over there we can put back.
Yeah, that's what I think.
So. It's a sore subject that nobody wants to look.
No, I'm still trying to figure out, I'm trying to figure out if there's any option, if we think outside the box, of a way to get it open during non-work hours at least next week. I mean, you're saying there's just absolutely no way.
With Lafayette there, the way they work, they try to put everything out and as they need it, as the crews are working, each one has their individual task. And I just know how they work, and it's not gonna make things go faster to do that.
So you're saying they need to put materials in the roadway?
They do, that's how they operate.
Yep. Yeah.
Putting stuff as
It's
close
like
as
when
we-
they did Greenland Bends down here, Ann.
Right.
They closed off one side of a 2-lane highway. And after they got the stuff ripped out, they laid it all right out. And one truck came along and started jacking in and pushing everything down in, and then there was a crew that was putting it.
just seems to me on the east side, there is some space that's not right away.
Yeah.
That, you know, there's space on both sides in that triangle in the middle, there is space available. I don't know the materials they're working with, it sounds like it's,
I never said.
My guess is it'd be a lot quicker than this thing.
The posts are 10 by 12. The guardrails are 6 by, I think it's 6 by 10, and there's steel in back of that. All this has to be put together. The posts are 8 feet long, so they go deep in the ground, and you know what it's like down there. There's a lot of boulders and rock, and on the west side, there's a lot of fill because that abutment's up in the air, and there's a lot of fill, so it should be able to get it in a little easier than the east side.
And what's our plan if it's not done by next Friday?
I don't know. Give you a call.
I mean, I think we need to have a plan. I mean, it seems like an unlimited extension time until November. That's my fear.
We want to get this.
Everybody wants to get it done.
We want to get it done.
Everybody does. And I totally get where you're coming from, but at the same time, I feel like we're at the mercy of the subcontractors.
Also, wait.
And I don't, and we specifically set up the contract so we had time constraints.
You still have work sessions on Thursday morning?
I haven't been since the
They
bridge is
had it a long
down.
time.
The only reason I ask is that you're not gonna get an answer tonight, because Joe can't give you an answer tonight. But the issue does come up that it should be, at a minimum, a sign of good faith that it's open, something opens up at close of business this Friday, right? Just because that is important to the people who heard the 30th, right or wrong. A lot of people were told the 30th, after August 26th or whatever. And so to do that would be a big plus. Then I would suggest that you get somebody else to the table, some combination of people to the table to get a real drop dead date with some money or something else attached to it, if it makes sense to do that. But it's just that you're not going to get any other answers.
It's not. Nothing's being held up or anything, for any money or anything like that. It's just, this is the situation we're in right now. We delayed everything because of what we found on the job. And now we've got dates, get everybody back again.
I figured Lafayette would be there working Wednesdays.
Yep.
Yeah.
But their foreman was there today, was working with him, just kind of laying it out so he sees what he has.
I think some of your concern stems from the fact that we just experienced throughout this last week a delay due to the roofing sub. So that we're now in a position where we have another sub coming in, so there's some anxiety about the fact that perhaps this might happen again.
And it did.
Because he just delayed.
It did
End up
happen
working
again.
well to keep Vermont Coatings, like you and I talked about, keep them on
track.
that date. And I was there today. Vermont Coatings is working their way down the bridge, and I'm at the other end watching the roofer work his way, and I'm hoping that the roofer gets done before they get down there, which did happen. And the roofer's done and gone, and thank goodness, that's another headache gone.
But why won't Lafayette work through the weekend, Mark?
Money,
But
premium time.
I guess, and that's where Gabby's, point's coming through is we had
They
this
don't-
contract.
They don't have to,
Okay.
there were no fines for
Right.
not meeting
No.
deadlines.
because the contract was
But
done
that's-
before.
And that's Wright's,
Wright-
I mean, Wright
Wright
didn't,
is-
that's how Wright wrote the contract, and so now we're sort of at the mercy of how, I mean, like this is what I'm saying, I don't want to tell other people how to do their business, but we sort of set it up initially purposely so we
Yeah, we're
wouldn't
careful in the
No, I understand.
be sort of put in this position.
I would love to be here saying, boy, we're gonna open up Friday, everything is great.
Oh, I know.
And
I know. I know you've been working hard, and I know you've been working with the contractors, and that's absolutely
the
not disputed, for sure.
contractor's
I
been
mean,
great. It's been a good job. It's been a good job. And like I said, the town's been great to work with, a lot of cooperation all around.
Okay.
I think the best we can do is accept his good faith that the bridge might be open Friday if the western guardrail is done.
I'll update you daily and let you know what's going on.
Okay. So just so I'm clear,
Yep.
you're gonna find out tomorrow if the bridge can reopen for just the weekend? Or is the town not wanting to take that on?
I'll see what I can find out. I may not know that until Lafayette shows up Wednesday.
So I guess the question becomes for you guys, one, if the bridge can, if Mark speaks to Lafayette and the bridge can reopen for the weekend, are you comfortable with the bridge reopening for the weekend with no guardrail on the east side?
I'm only comfortable with it if that west end is done. All it takes is one car missing that corner and going into that river, and the price of that bridge has gone up considerably.
Yes.
Today's world, it could happen quickly.
So is that your motion?
My motion is accept his good faith, and say, yeah, if you wanna make that motion, that's reasonable.
What's
if
the motion?
Provided, I imagine Joe Poston's probably gonna want, something.
He's gonna want a letter that does not hold right liable.
Yeah. So if the west end guardrail is completed, and it's completed in capital letters, I would agree for the town to accept the liability of the bridge being open on weekends.
Well, it's just one, hopefully.
Just the weekend,
Yeah, just the weekend.
then shutting back down on Monday morning?
Shutting back down on
until-
Monday morning.
Until the guardrails are done?
Done. Yep.
Do I have a second?
Sadly, it's, best we can do at this point. I guess.
So I'll second that.
All right, so make this clear. As long as we get the word from Mark that Lafayette can have the guardrails completed by Friday, we will allow to open the bridge.
And I can get them to.
And
get
right,
their
so you need
material out of the
Lafayette
way
and
for the
rights.
east side
Right.
over the
Yeah.
weekend.
Okay? And the town accepting liability from Wright.
As long as that west end is done, which is the motion, yes.
So we're assuming responsibility if the west end's done for 2 days, Saturday and Sunday. That's what
Right.
I'm hearing.
And the bridge will close back down on Monday for the east side.
Lafayette, yeah.
Any more discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Aye.
Aye. And I'm voting aye too.
Thank you, Sheila.
Thank you, Sheila.
Yes.
Can I make another motion? An
Uh,
additional motion? I think we need to have a drop deadline. I think that was in the original contract. I think certain representations were made such that we thought we had another drop deadline of September 30th. So Katie, can you, I guess I'll make the motion for Katie to contact Joe, I guess it's Joe Poston? Is he the agent for Wright?
He's the
Who
project
can make
manager, right?
decisions and to discuss what the actual drop deadline is
For the bridge reopening.
for the bridge reopening.
In total.
In October? I don't know if
In
it's not-
total, no.
I have more confidence in Mark's
I
point
might
of view
cry.
on this than
Yeah.
possibly some of the others.
Yeah.
So now I hear where you're coming from, but I certainly don't want him coming back to us with this little cushion to say, oh, we're gonna need,
It's already at November 4th. That's what I'm hearing.
Well,
I mean, which to me is,
But I
Nothing
think
was
that's
never the
the
intent.
completion date of everything.
I also want to point out that the original contract, bridge reopens August 26th, completion date is September 30th.
Yeah,
That's
all right,
five,
yeah.
5 weeks from when the bridge reopens to project completion. September 30th to November 4th is 5 weeks from bridge completion to bridge reopening. So just to kind of put it in perspective when we're thinking and talking about, well, we have until November 4th, that's the exact same time frame as the original contract for all of that residual work that would be done when the bridge was reopened 5 weeks. So that September 30th date is significant. It was never wiggly, it was firm. I just want to
and
remind that.
I think
Again.
that if Wright has the idea that they have till October 4th and very well might take till
November.
November 4th, that we need to know that
That's definitely not.
that the public needs to know that because
That's
if-
money.
I
That
feel
costs
like we were a little bit
Every day.
maybe not.
Every day they work down there is money out of their pocket.
I know, but it keeps happening.
But there's
Money out of yours.
It keeps happening.
it's important to recognize that there's the bridge reopening date and the and the project completion date. So if their bridge reopening date is November 4th, it's no extra money for them, but it's major aggravation for us.
And I think that
Of course.
everybody
I'm
needs
just
to
trying, I
meet.
just want to keep those two
I
things very
think
clear.
completion date was November 4th.
Right, but now
Yeah.
I think what we're saying is, I'm getting the impression that everyone says, well, nope, it wasn't September 30th, we have till, we got the extension till November 4th, which isn't quite what,
Did you-
Project.
I understand that
Did you
actually
recall
happened.
last year when they were doing the wall, halfway through, they found this other part of
Yeah.
the wall they had to rebuild?
And I'm totally-
That's sort of the same thing.
I'm totally down with
Yeah,
extending the
yeah,
deadline,
so-
but you understand what I'm saying
Yeah,
is,
I know.
there was a,
Yeah.
if it was a bridge deadline, we had an understanding there was a bridge opening deadline, and then they could do whatever else they wanted once the bridge was open.
There was no penalty phase built into the contract either.
I know, I mean, but I do think that if they're saying, I'm not gonna really bother my subs, if the subs don't show up, they don't show up, and we have till November 4th under contract, that I think we need to be upfront about that with the public.
They're bothering the subs, believe me.
I have faith in Mark.
Just construction, everybody has people, they have the same equipment, the same tools. The only way they make money is to do it faster.
Yeah.
So,
And every
Katie,
day
could
they're
you,
there, there's more money out of their pocket.
could you please just maybe put out,
Maybe just have a clarification with Joe Poston as to
Oh, I'm going to.
the date, that we had an understanding that was the September 30th, we
I
understand
mean,
it's not,
I
but
already
we need,
emailed them
okay,
that, but I will, after this meeting, follow
so that
up
we can at
with
least
another email.
let the public know.
So,
but also we need to put it out that the bridge is gonna be reopened on
Weekend,
you don't know that.
We don't know that.
We
Well,
won't know that till
yeah,
Wednesday.
right, we won't know that till Wednesday.
That's the
But
good-
or maybe,
we're gonna be-
actually maybe Friday if,
We're gonna
we need
be
to get the
jumping through
guardrails.
hoops, or somebody's gonna be jumping through hoops on Friday.
And then the expectation, maybe it's gonna be open Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, by those same individuals using it over the weekend.
Yeah.
Yes.
Just say, I mean,
Right.
you better,
Yeah.
we need to
Yeah.
It's
communicate.
You need,
important that
you
this
need
is
the
Exactly.
communication out there
Because
that it's gonna be
I
open,
think
possibly
opening
open this
it may be-
weekend, but it's gonna be shut right back down at 7
Right.
o'clock on Monday morning.
Right, right.
Until the completion of the guardrails on the east side, which could take up to the following Friday. So,
And if sometime next week, if everything comes together by Wednesday, then maybe we can just, Thursday morning, open the bridge up.
who's bringing the budget?
Sorry to do that to
Sorry.
you, Mike.
You buy the champagne?
Oh, yeah.
Can we smash it on the bridge like a boat?
Sure, yeah.
Okay.
That's,
No.
that will help.
Drink it.
Yes.
Well, anything you can do, Mark, to support, I know you want to anyway.
and I know you've been working with the contractors and with Wright, and you've
Yeah.
been doing your best, and it's, you know,
So.
it's just a frustration as to the,
This is
For the
not
situation.
unusual. This is not unusual for projects at this stage of the game.
All right, moving along.
Whatever project it is. they
We
want it
have
done.
a motion on the
They
table.
want to hear
that
about extensions.
Gabby made a motion for Katie to contact Joe Poston about the actual drop dead date
For the bridge reopening.
for the bridge reopening. Do I have a second?
I'll second it. I just,
Thank you, Joe. Is there any more discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
I,
Aye.
Aye,
Thank you, Sheila.
you're welcome.
Thank you, Mark.
You're very
I'll
welcome.
see you in the morning.
Thank you.
Good night.
Okay.
In that same topic, they're looking for a bridge inspection, like punch list walkthrough to do on the 5th of October, I think.
October, I believe that's what
Um,
it is.
Friday.
I'm not sure if it's Wednesday or Thursday.
Wednesday.
And I don't know who's available, but I was gonna do it with Dan. I didn't know if select board members wanted to be there or not.
In the morning?
Do we know what
What is
time?
I don't know what time. It's probably 9 o'clock if I had to guess, because that's
Okay.
when
Yeah, I
job
could do
meetings
it
If
in
we
the
can,
morning.
if we can do it, let me know. I mean, I'll just stay over there since I'm gonna be there.
Then I could go
All
down.
right,
I mean,
I'll
I could-
email everybody.
Okay. Okay, moving on to new business. Joe Borgati, citizen inquiring BSP contract decision on 12/14/15. Joe, first, before we start this discussion, I'm gonna ask, are you here as representing the sheriff's department, or are you here
No, I
as a
made
citizen?
that clear when I came in.
Okay. So, I'm gonna open this floor up and let you inquire about this.
Okay, my question is, I don't know why
went with it. I was wondering if somebody could tell me why and how many hours they're supposed to put in a week, or if it's just a set amount of money that was given to them. And the other question is, lately I haven't seen them around. A couple days ago was the first time I ever see a trooper car in Guilford. And it was sitting over there by the pull-off by Whipple's old place. And otherwise I haven't seen any. People are roaring up and down 5, Guilford Center Road. On the way in tonight, there's burnout marks all over down there before you get to Bonneville Road. But my question is, why were they hired to patrol Guilford if they're the state police, because they patrol everywhere? Why is the town paying more money for them to patrol? And if they are patrolling, where are they? And are they writing tickets?
I would like to start off by saying this was discussed, I know, for probably 5, maybe 6 meetings amongst the board. When it was brought up to a vote, 2 select board members voted to keep the sheriff's department, 2 voted to go with VSP, and the chair had to make the final vote, and it was voted to go with Vermont State Police. The Vermont State Police have been patrolling the area. They've been doing some work up here on Center Road because it was requested by the board to do some work up there in the center up here. But they've been in town. I seen the report
It just came today.
that they have sent us from the BSP with the hours and stuff like that. They're only contracted, I believe, 8 hours a month. That's all. The
Which
same
is
as what the
exactly-
sheriff's department was.
Okay. I just haven't seen them, that's all.
They've
Well,
been,
they've been in Guilford Center.
They've been in Guilford Center the last couple weeks
That's where they were directed to patrol.
because we had some complaints from some citizens there in the center about some speeding, what they felt was speeding violations. And the troopers, I know for a fact, had one pulled over the other morning when I was headed to the Green River Covered Bridge to do my crossing guard duty for the school. So, I have a question in the back. Ann?
Not really a question, just a clarification. This whole discussion came up because we got word from Keith Clark that the sheriffs needed to increase their hours significantly, and it was going to be a considerable increase of cost for the town of Guilford, that they wanted to do a lot more coverage. I'm forgetting how much
The
more.
minimum hours
12.
that they were proposing was 12 hours, where we had always had.
12 hours, no, it
Per
was
month.
more than that. It was more than 12 hours a month.
And
No,
there
it
were-
was 12. It was 12.
Okay.
And there
I
was,
think it was
I wanna say
significant.
But it
their
was
rate
an increase
increase.
in
Rate
pay
increase.
also.
Increase in pay. So that was what instigated this first consideration, and so just when you asked why this first came up, I think that was what began the discussion.
My memory correct, the sheriff's department went from 42 to 49 dollars an hour, and the state police are what, $56 an hour? They're depending on who the trooper is, yeah.
but you can look back in the minutes as well as on video if you
Yeah,
want to see the
yeah.
exact discussion that we had. And then I'll also just point
Well,
out that
I'm
we're
just
in.
wondering because they get paid for patrolling Guilford anyways.
They do.
Yes,
And if
they
you
did.
got
That
complaints
was-
and you call a complaint, they should answer it.
This was additional hours.
I
Yeah,
mean, this is the
they're-
same as what the sheriff did.
It's
I mean, they're
focused
all,
hours
you know,
just for
just for
Guilford.
Guilford.
So
And-
when they're here on town contract for Guilford, they don't go elsewhere. They're here for Guilford. It's not their regular shift. It's a separate shift for them.
And just for
I understand that, but my point of fact is, that's like paying somebody for doing a job, you know, working for the state,
Sure.
and then call and say you have a problem with speeding, and you give a separate contract. I mean, I don't care if it goes with the sheriff or anybody, but people are driving like idiots out there.
Oh, it's not
Especially
only
on
in this
fire.
town.
They're doing that
trust us.
everywhere.
They're doing it everywhere.
Yeah, especially on 5 too.
And unfortunately, I think that the sheriffs, and I don't wanna speak for another town, but there has been other towns that has dropped the sheriff because of his increase
Yeah, I
and
understand
everything
that.
like that, because they wanted
That's
more
why I
hours
said I'm
and
not
more
here for the
pay.
sheriff's department.
Oh, I know,
I'm here for me. I mean,
right.
I sit out there times and I just wait for these motorcycles If they know the curve's there, they come and they get roaring into it and lean the bike almost all the ways over. I'm just waiting for one to go over so I can run out there with my bottle of alcohol and disinfect his leg and his arm and stuff.
So can I
'Cause
just,
I'm a nice guy.
so right now we're in the middle, I mean, we signed a year-long contract with the state police, so at this point we're in that contract, but I think what you're suggesting is that we actually increase the number of hours, or increase the
I
number of
don't
hours
care
of
who
patrol.
does it.
I know, that's what I'm
But
saying,
it
you're actually
needs to be done.
suggesting an increase in
I
patrol
don't wanna bring
hours.
up past history, but when I was on patrol down here all the time, writing tickets, I was getting complaints for pulling people over, going to work in the morning, kids going to school in the morning,
Who did you work for?
huh? Sheriff's Department,
Are you still a sheriff or no?
huh? Oh, yes, I am.
You are, okay,
Retired, only work a couple days a week doing transports.
okay.
And I,
And
Both the state police and the sheriff department can submit proposals
next
for
year,
next year.
next year, and
Yes.
if,
And they
I mean,
should.
but if we need increased patrol, that's a different issue, increased hours.
I don't care who
And-
does it.
Well, that's what I'm saying, it doesn't matter, if we need, that's a different issue, but I will say that,
No warning stuff, you know, that doesn't do nothing except
Well, the
waste
sheriff's
everybody's.
didn't write very many tickets during their entire contract period here
I
with the
think-
town, very few tickets.
Both the state police and when we hired the sheriff department, we hired the state police, it was not a source of revenue for the town.
and just to be clear, when we were asked, we said again with the state police, we do not see tickets as a source of revenue. However, given public request, we have specifically said ticket on Guilford Center Road, because there's been issues and the public specifically requested that. So that's been happening. But I think what would be most helpful is if you brought up these concerns when we discuss the contract for next year.
Yeah.
Like I say, I don't care who does it. What happened the last time when I told you something was gonna happen, Dick?
Never mind. I know, that's,
Okay.
Wouldn't it make sense though too, that Joe, if you see people speeding on Route 5, would it be as a private citizen, regardless of who's sitting up in Guilford Center or on contract at 8 hours a month, wouldn't you as a normal citizen call the state police and say, look, they're tearing it up on Route 5, you should be down here, regardless whether it's Guilford money or something else? That's where I think the point that you made earlier was that the state police
I haven't
patrol,
seen them.
right, but I'm saying
I
that.
only see one.
But would you feel comfortable calling the state police as an individual and saying, you
Yeah.
know, yeah? Because I think it has, we as citizens have to come at this two ways. The board does what you do for 8 hours a month, but 8 hours a month, I mean, you know, I mean, that's just visible, that's all. And then not so much, but I think we as citizens have to be our own first defense and call up and say, hey, they're tearing it up on Green River Road, or they're tearing it up on Route 5.
And get a plate number.
Right, and get a
And a
plate
vehicle
number.
identification.
And I think that's where we as citizens can help you, Joe, make the same call and say, I saw it too, you know? So I think this is
Great points.
there's probably more, like in the Gazette or something else, to give the community a little more information about, you know, what we have for state police or sheriff's coverage at any point. That would be my thought.
because of the
If I
way
could
the
get plate numbers, I would, but I'm usually down 150 feet from the road and they go roaring by with their motorcycles
Yeah.
and cars and say, I don't wanna see anybody get killed. They already had one person on a motorcycle get killed. And years ago, when I said it, when I got pulled out of Guilford, because I was writing too many tickets, if you got a problem, giving a warning is not the solution to the problem. And the other thing I'd like to mention, and I mentioned it before, take over Route 5 as a town road. You can claim Route 5 and you don't have to maintain it. It just changes the status of the thing. So if anybody writes a ticket on Route 5, instead of only the town getting the 20% thing, they would get 80% of that ticket. Dummerston did it, Townsend did it, Newfane did it. Dummerston took 30 and Route 5 both. So any tickets written, 80% of the revenue goes to the town, not to the state.
We'd have to take over the road
I
though.
guess I was gonna say
And
that.
You
that,
have
and
to
that
regardless-
includes the maintenance. of the
Maintenance.
road.
I think regardless,
That's
yeah,
a lot of pavement.
we'd like to see
But I
behavior
think that's-
change.
Because the way the
Another
sheriff
time.
department is staffed is much easier and more, they were more dependable to call up and say, look, we're having trouble at such and such a place. They had the manpower to more or less do
But
that
that's
with
not
the
what their
state.
contract was for.
No, but the state police don't have that. They're not staffed as heavy as the sheriff department was. So it's a little harder for them to, be down in your backyard. Yeah.
If a resident called
Well, they
911, the
might.
sheriffs would never be dispatched for that. Or if the sheriffs called a police department, the sheriffs wouldn't come for anyone in town on a regular call.
Yeah.
Correct?
No. they
What's
wouldn't.
that?
They
If
would.
someone was breaking into my house and I called the sheriff's department, what would they tell me?
Right now? What
Even
would
if they
say?
had a contract.
If they had a
If they had a
contract?
contract for motor vehicle enforcement in the community, which is what we had, and
Yeah.
someone were breaking into my house and I called them, what would they tell me?
They would send somebody.
They would say, call the state police.
Not when I was on down here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So, thank you very much, Joe,
Yep.
for your inquiry and everything like that. Next item on the agenda,
Do you mind if we just go back for 1 second to discussions and updates? Because I had traffic ordinance on there and I don't want us to miss that.
I was just.
Were you gonna do
We're
that?
still-
Yeah, I was gonna
Okay,
do that.
okay.
Yep. Junkyard permit approval for the Winchester Junkyard down on Route 5. I believe this is our yearly approval for the permit via the state for the Winchester.
And being new, it's my understanding this is just a formality.
It is.
We, as a board, the select board's always approved this for Winchester's, and then it gets sent to the state with our
Yeah.
stamp. Okay,
Yeah, the state has oversight and enforcement powers.
gotcha.
So could I entertain a motion for us to?
So I'll
sign
make a
this?
motion
Thank you.
to sign
Here we
this
go.
document to forward up to the state.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Discussion, Ann?
Yes, I think one thing that's been really effective with Ralph Winchester is that around the time of his permit request, select board members have visited and just had an inspection. I was down there just last week, and I think he responds really well to encouragement, to keeping his operation, compliant with what the law is. And even though you're right, it's the state's overview, I think encouragement from the select board to keep his operation contained has been really effective with him. He's been very responsive to that, and I think he would probably benefit, just from what I saw, by a little encouragement right now, so.
Okay, thank you.
And the last time this came up, I asked if the property was still in tax arrears. Do you know if it's up to? What?
I
Don't.
don't know.
But I do know Penny said the other day
I'm
that
gonna guess
she
that
is
it's
down
not.
below
It is.
100,000 in back taxes collected, so there's been a lot of.
I'm just raising the point that if somebody is perennially, year after year after year, back taxes, and you say it's a formality, I think that's another message you have to send to somebody, is to say, if you don't pay your taxes, you don't get a permit.
I don't know if you
I
can,
don't
I don't know if you
think
can
do
do
that.
that legally.
Okay.
Yeah. It sounds good though. It really does.
Sounds awesome.
And I,
Sounds like it's worth looking at. whether or
Honestly,
not
I
Mr.
don't think he
Winchester
is
has
delinquent.
paid his taxes.
He's done a lot of work on it, I know. So-
no,
he
I
has.
don't think he's delinquent. I think
Or he's on a plan.
He's on,
I
yeah.
think he's on a,
He's on a plan. I
That's a step in the right
believe.
direction.
Yes.
Any more discussion on this issue? Seeing none. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Right.
Thank you, Sheila.
He did.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, next item on the agenda is dog officer resignation, and I'm going to have Katie read this, even though I know we all got
Do you want
emails.
to? Okay.
Please.
Greetings, I humbly submit this letter of resignation to the Guilford Selectboard. I've been serving in this position for most of the summer and appreciate the board's confidence in me to fulfill this position. Due to personal reasons and teenagers' busy schedules, I can no longer serve as dog officer. I've included copies of reports generated by Peter's form on the website. This has been a huge help with the reporting of a dog issue. I find that when folks came to me with a problem and I asked them to fill it out. A few ended up not following through. I will help out on one last outstanding issue. Karen Chalmers was allegedly bitten on September 1st at the intersection of Stage Road and Guilford Center Road. She states that several dogs owned by Adrian Finney circled around her and one bit her. I have talked at length with both parties. I would be happy to come in and discuss the detail of the specific issues. I'm just going to kind of go past this here. I would like to make note of the position of dog officer and whether it is a necessary position. I have given this some thought and have a suggestion for the board to think about. 90% of the time I dealt with dog complaints calls, I ended up speaking with Penny extensively. She has the dog licensing information, names and addresses of owners, and almost always has more helpful information about the dog owner. Not many of the issues needed any more attention than being the liaison between the two parties. A few times people actually called her first, or she became aware of the problem before I did. I'd like to suggest that Penny be the liaison for the town. When an issue needs more attention, then a select person could be called in to follow up. In extreme cases, the select board would be called in anyway. Each select person could take a month, rotating around all year. This would eliminate the need for a dog officer position and keep the select board in the loop. In the meantime, maybe the board would be able to come up with a better solution to increasing number of dog-related calls.
With that said, I regretfully take that letter of resignation because Mary Ann did a very outstanding good job. She's going to hold the pound, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So with that, that means the dog officer position is now opened in the town of Guilford. And we will have to work on that spot.
I'm sorry, Troy, you said you have to work
On that position.
Except would the select board consider Mary Ann's suggestion? Or would Penny consider it?
I think that's the bigger question.
That's the bigger question. We'd have to talk to Penny about that because that's putting something
Right.
else on her plate.
But
Absolutely.
if that's what she's doing anyway, we could, in the interim, we could see how it works, right?
It doesn't sound like she's suggesting to take on the dog officer role, but simply fulfill her role as town clerk for
Right.
the providing information about the licensing of dogs.
She's always done that anyway.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's,
So,
but I mean, to indicate that she. No, I don't
It just
like the
sounds like
idea.
a more formal process for.
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, she could take the complaint, then one of us would have to go, but I don't know anything about dogs except
Yeah.
grabbing them and throwing them in the pound,
Yeah, right.
you know? So, I mean, it's something that we should probably explore a little deeper. I think it might be better to have someone that's gonna be possibly available more than one of us. Does that kind of help you out a little bit, Sheila, or no?
Right, I mean, we have no dog officer currently. We can certainly post a position, but we can also test Mary Ann's opposition in the meantime. It would seem to me that.
We have no constable either, and we're getting by, so.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know whether statutorily we have to have a dog officer, which is my
Yeah. do we-
suspicion.
Yeah.
I think statutorily we can't sort of
If-
get rid of the
If
position.
there's, or let me hypothetically throw this out there, Sheila, what happens if something does happen where you have to grab, as the dog officer has to impound the dog? Do we have everything to do that? I don't have a large kennel or
Well, the town pound still is.
would,
You would take it to the
yes.
town
You have
pound
Mary Ann.
anyway.
So if the dog's
It's the
vicious,
person who takes the dog.
right.
One,
So
I'm just
I was
throwing out
gonna
the worst
suggest-
case scenario.
Two things I was going to ask about. One, I can inquire of Wyndham Regional Commission. I remember a while back they were having a conversation about shared municipal resources, which maybe there's a person who does animal control as their livelihood. who we might be able to find and do a contract for services. Because that person would have insurance, they would have all of those things that a business would have. I don't know if Brattleboro's animal control officer would share services or want to fatten that task out. I can see what other towns are doing.
I think
sounds
that
good.
makes sense.
That
I think
sounds
we
good.
take one step at a time. Somebody may step forward that has a kennel ability and all that also too.
Yes, could I have a motion to accept Mary Ann's resignation? Thank you.
So moved.
Second.
I
Third.
have a motion and a second. Any more discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Back to discussions and updates. Traffic ordinance. Katie.
I think that's mine, actually. I think it's just an update that Dick, Dan, and I are going to get together to update it. So that's in our,
When are we gonna do that?
we'll plan a time next week. Okay?
Okay. Yep.
Moving on to highway. Daniel.
Hello.
How are you, Mr. Zimbrowski? Can you give us a update?
Well, we're grading roads, setting culverts, gonna start getting ready for winter here pretty quick. That's about it.
Could have been cold enough this morning to snow.
I had ice on the windshield.
Mm-hmm. I hope Vegas didn't have frost, Sheila.
90 degrees and disturbing.
Okay. So everything seems to be working out great?
Everything's working good, new man's working good. Still
Good.
got a lot to learn, but he's eager,
Yep.
so.
Okay. All right. Excess weight permits, we have none. Finances, request approval for fiscal year 16 interfund transfer, highway and general.
Okay.
Good night, Steve.
Thanks, Steve.
Dave,
So I'm just to the point of getting final drafts, final financial statements from the auditor. The amounts of, I think I sent you the copy of the journal entries.
You did.
So what that will do is move the budget surpluses that's remaining at FY16 over to each of their respective reserve funds. So that basically we'll be starting out FY17 at 0. So that allowed me to do that journal entry back in FY16 so that when you look at financial statements for FY17, you'll see the opening balance is 0. The highway fund, they'll still combined, but that's what those two journal entries are. So it's just separating it out for ease in reporting.
Can I have a motion from the board?
I'll make a motion to approve the interfund transfers for FY16 for highway and general.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
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 All
Thank you.
in favor, thank you.
Good, 'cause I already-
Approval of warrants.
I'll make the motion to pay the following payroll and warrants.
This is a
Big one.
yeah.
Payroll for the week ending in September 18th, 2016, in the amount of $11,396.47. Payroll for the week ending in September 25th, 2016, in the amount of $5,330.25. Expense warrant 06SC in the amount of $478.09. Expense warrant number 06HS in the amount of $273,038. And expense warrant number 1707 in the amount of $126,281.88 for a grand total payroll expenses of $416,254.69. The significant expenses were a bond payment for the fire department in the town of Algiers in the amount of $74,847.96, as well as construction cost for Wright Construction for the Green River Covered Bridge in the amount of $31,678.37. And just to point out that expense warrant number 6HS was all of the human services disbursements that were approved of at town meeting.
Do I have a
Sign page.
second?
Second.
Any more
Second one
discussion?
down off the bottom.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Right.
Motion passed. Next is communications.
We
Are we
got,
signed these?
sorry. We got, from Vermont League of Cities and Towns Passive, a memo giving us anticipated increases for 2017. They think, they're projecting a low single-digit increase for our property casualty insurance. There's a postcard for Vermont League of Cities and Towns Fall Planning and Zoning Workshop. And then we have a invitation from VCTV to their 40th anniversary party.
Wow.
We got, I don't know if I can say it publicly.
They want to honor you.
That, can I say it or can I not say it?
Must be.
It went out.
I got an email, but
publicly,
I got an email, but it was actually just to dig into me. So I don't know if that's.
Well, maybe you're the stars.
Well, I don't know if I should share it. Because
I'm not supposed to talk, actually.
Since we have the highest ratings for select board meetings, I don't, because so many people will watch, I don't want to wreck the secret. Think I'm okay?
Shoot it. Go
Go
ahead.
for it.
Town of Guilford's being awarded their Community of the Year for 2015-16 for getting the highest ratings for their
TV shows.
viewing the videos on TV and for being good collaborative partners with our excellent program people and being transparent and open in our communications. So that's
Very
pretty cool.
nice.
So I don't know if somebody wants to go to accept this prestigious award.
When is it?
Y'all should come. The dance
All
party.
should come.
If I'm in
Yep.
town, I
Okay, just
will.
let
When
us
is
know
it?
when
Sure, I'm
it
gonna
is.
be in
It's
town.
October 6th, right?
10-6.
Here, I have it.
It's right in
It's
Bradford.
Thursday, October
Right
6th.
across from the fire station.
Yep.
Show the picture.
On
Right
Elliott
across.
Street. Hang on, let me take the post-it off so it looks good. Right? Are you gonna zoom in on that?
Yeah.
Oh, where the old,
Thursday.
What time
the old
is?
laundromat used to
What-
be.
what time is that?
6 to midnight, right?
Ooh.
No, 6 to 8 p.m. and then party to follow.
I'll be back home.
Thank you.
Also with communications, I want to throw in there, our next select board meeting falls on Columbus Day, which is a holiday. And as per our votings or whatever
Town
it is,
report.
town report, our next meeting will actually be on October 12th at 6:30 PM on a Wednesday here versus Monday due to the holiday. With communications complete,
So moved.
I would like to ask for a motion to go into executive session on a personnel matter, inviting the select board and Katie Buckley.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second for executive session. Any discussion? Yes, no? At 7:36 PM.
Okay.
7:34 PM, sorry.
1934.
Okay, we exited executive session at 7:47. With that said, I, as the chair, have been handed a letter, and I will read this letter dated September 26, 2016. Members of the Select Board, please accept this letter as my formal resignation from the position as Town Administrator for the Town of Guilford. Last day of work will be Tuesday, October 25th, 2016. I have been offered an incredible opportunity to work at a school where my daughter currently attends, and so will my son in 2017. Thank you for the opportunity that you gave me this time last year to serve my community. It has truly been an honor. I wish you the best in governing this wonderful town and working hard to meet its needs of its citizenry. My deepest gratitude for all that you do in your service and for stepping up to lead. Sincerely, Katie Buckley. With this letter,
So I'd like to make a motion to accept Katie's resignation as the town administrator with the utmost regret and with the great, I think the whole board will echo the feeling of the great appreciation that we have had and have for you serving in this role for your tenure with the town. And while we're very sad, we're, you know, happy for your personal situation moving forward, but we will miss you.
I will miss you.
with that motion, do I have a second?
I second. Well said, Gordon.
Any more discussion? With that said, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Nay, damn it! Motion carried. I'm looking for a,
Motion to adjourn.
you moved, and a second?
That it
All
is.
in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye.